The day before the wedding, my fiancée and I both decided to call it off. We had both been reborn to the eve of our wedding. She slipped off her engagement ring. "Sonny, I can't go through with this." I happily agreed. 6 years later, I was back in the States for a corporate gala in Los Angeles. She was there, arm in arm with her first love, a rising Hollywood actor, and they looked like a perfect couple under the lights. Meanwhile, I was discreetly packing a slice of cake from the dessert cart into a to-go box. Catching me in the act, she immediately sneered, drawing the attention of the entire room. "Can't even afford a slice of cake anymore, Mr. Hayes." I had no choice but to announce my own relationship, and she lost her mind. "Sonny, did I say you could marry someone else?" Everyone was gathered around Candy. They were congratulating her and Leo on finally getting together. "Ms. Morgan, congratulations. Your longtime crush finally came true. You have to invite us to the wedding." "What do you mean, crush?" "It was mutual," someone else chimed in. "A powerhouse businesswoman and a soon-to-be A-list actor. In one word, perfect." Candy smiled, raising her glass and taking a delicate sip of red wine. Out of the corner of her eye, she kept glancing my way. When I heard the words "A-list," I couldn't help but smirk. I lifted my phone and snapped a picture of the lavish dessert cart. My fingers kept tapping away on the screen. Candy, thinking I was sneering at her, shot me a look of annoyance. Just then, someone brought up our old history. "I heard the Hayes heir is here tonight, too," another guest whispered. "After you two called off the wedding, the Hayes family just vanished from the scene, didn't they? His family business must have hit a rough patch. What's so hard about swallowing your pride for a woman? Ms. Morgan is so successful now, he must be kicking himself." Candy let them speculate, adding coolly, "People have to pay the price for the choices they make." As the subject of their gossip, I couldn't have cared less. My mind was on one thing, the matcha mousse. I asked a waiter for a to-go box and carefully placed a small slice inside. Just as I was about to leave the ballroom, Candy's mocking voice cut through the air behind me. "Look at you, acting like you've never seen a dessert cart before. Aren't you embarrassed?" she called out. "Can't even afford a slice of cake anymore, Mr. Hayes." Before she'd even finished, every eye in the vicinity was fixed on the box in my hand. Their expressions shifted from curiosity to a shared, strange look of disdain. It was pure contempt. This was a black tie event, after all. The kind of people invited to this gala weren't poor enough to need a doggy bag for cake. From the looks on their faces, I could tell they thought I was some freeloader who had crashed the party. "I don't see what's so embarrassing about it," I said with a shrug, a casual and carefree smile on my face. My nonchalance only seemed to get under Candy's skin even more. Her expensive earrings swayed as she jutted her chin out. A clear layer of anger clouded her pretty face. "Sonny, after all these years, you haven't improved one bit, but you've certainly gotten more shameless." A few stifled snickers reached my ears. People were sizing me up from head to toe. Compared to Candy's limited edition designer gown, my suit was obviously several years old. But I remained completely unfazed. "Thanks for the compliment," I said, turning my back to her, leaving her to stew in her own anger. Seeing the tension, someone quickly changed the subject. "Did you hear Scarlett Rhodes is supposed to make a big announcement tonight? Anyone hear any rumors?" another asked. "No, Scarlett's been keeping a low profile lately. It's almost impossible to get a meeting with her to talk business." "Well, she's not just an Oscar-winning actress. She's a major investor. Hollywood is just a playground for her." The Scarlett Rhodes they were talking about was, at that very moment, sending me a flirty voice message on iMessage. "Honey, how much longer are you going to be?" her voice cooed. "My publicist just stepped out, and I can't wait to have that matcha mousse." I sent back a little greedy cat emoji. I pushed the whole incident out of my mind. But then, a number that had blocked me years ago suddenly lit up my screen with a few texts. "Sonny, I hope you see it clearly now. This is the difference between us. You're the one who can't live without me. Without me, you're nothing." Was I really the one who couldn't live without her? Memories of our past life flooded back. It wasn't the Hayes family that had run into financial trouble. It was the Morgans. Old Mr. Morgan had leveraged decades of friendship with my grandfather, begging for a bailout. The plan was to bind our two families' interests together. And so, with our families pushing hard, Candy and I got engaged. The night before we were supposed to go to the courthouse, I asked Candy, "Are you sure about this? We can find another way to handle the money. If you want out, now's your chance." Candy looked like she wanted to say something, but in the end, she just shook her head. She went with me to City Hall, and we signed the papers. I knew the whole time that the man she really loved was Leo Vance. He was a handsome guy from a small town with a charming smile. They'd met doing volunteer work in college. Even if I hadn't been in the picture, the Morgans would have never approved of her being with Leo. The reason was simple. He wasn't from the right background. In public, we played the part of a married couple, but at home, we retreated to separate rooms, never saying more than was necessary. It was hard not to fall for a girl like Candy. Whenever she would take my arm and introduce me to people as her husband, my heart would soar. It felt like I was on top of the world. I silently prayed that, over time, she might grow to love me. But then, by a stroke of luck, Leo broke into Hollywood. He landed the role of a young war hero and became an overnight sensation that summer. Candy would often just stare at pictures of him, lost in thought. She started leaving her wedding ring on the bathroom counter. We rarely made public appearances together anymore. Candy was deliberately trying to erase the image of being my wife. "Sonny, let's get a divorce," she finally said one day, after clearly psyching herself up for it. I gave a weak smile. "Candy, my grandfather just invested a huge amount into your family's new project. Now isn't the right time for this." I knew it was a losing battle, but I used it as an excuse to buy more time. "Okay," Candy said, as if she'd expected that answer. She got up and left, and by that night, she had packed her bags and moved out. We were divorced in everything but name. Her company started expanding into new ventures related to the film industry. Then, the first picture of her and Leo appeared on her Facebook. The caption read, "Reunited at last with my superstar." My heart plummeted from 1,000 feet and shattered into dust. The next time I saw Candy, it was because Leo was caught up in dating rumors, and the woman in the photos wasn't her. Candy was at a bar, drinking herself sick and throwing up in the bathroom. The owner, a friend of mine, gave me a call. I rushed over to get her immediately. She collapsed into my arms, crying. "Tell me, is love always about who got there first?" she sobbed. "I'm sorry, Leo, I was too late." She fell asleep on my shoulder, her tears soaking through my shirt. My own eyes welled up, and tears streamed down my face. She was right. Love is all about timing. No matter how hard I tried, I could never compete with Leo's place in her heart. I carried Candy into the elevator. Just as we were about to reach our floor, the elevator failed. Everything went black as we plunged more than a dozen stories. With a deafening crash, we both died in the elevator shaft. I was reborn to that same night, to the moment I asked her if she was sure. This time, Candy didn't hesitate to take off the ring. "You were right," she said. "I can't go through with this." I nodded, agreeing instantly. "Okay." A flicker of surprise crossed Candy's eyes. Our gazes met for a second, and in that moment, we both knew the other had been reborn too. We had a silent understanding not to speak of the past. From that day on, we went our separate ways. Armed with the knowledge from her past life, Candy quickly resolved her family's business crisis. My grandfather was furious that she called off the wedding and cut all ties with the Morgans. I, without a second thought, got on a plane and left the country. "The last bite is for you," Scarlett said, pushing the dessert toward me. "I can't have any more. I have to watch my figure." Scarlett held the mousse up to my lips, her eyes sparkling with a smile. I was helpless against her charms. The sweet, earthy flavor of matcha melted in my mouth. She dabbed my mouth with a napkin just as a knock came at the door. "Ms. Rhodes, it's time for makeup," a voice called. I playfully tapped the tip of her nose with my finger. I quickly gathered the trash, cleaning up the evidence of our secret snack. "I should get going then," I said. Scarlett said goodbye reluctantly. "See you out there. Have fun tonight." As I opened the door, her makeup artist and assistant greeted me warmly. "Hey, Sonny." "Hi, guys. Thanks for everything," I replied with a smile as I left the dressing room. I hadn't gotten far before I ran straight into Leo Vance. He had a small entourage with him. He stopped deliberately, blocking my path. "Well, if it isn't Mr. Hayes," he said with fake sincerity. "I heard all about your little cake heist downstairs. What brings you up to the VIP floor?" The people with him snickered knowingly. I tried to ignore him, but Leo wouldn't let it go. "Let me guess what you're trying to steal up here. An actress's lingerie, maybe?" His jeering tone sent his crew into fits of laughter. Ha ha ha. It was common knowledge that tonight's gala was a mix of business tycoons and Hollywood's most beautiful people. Everyone was there to network. "Come on, Leo," one of his cronies said. "Cut the guy some slack. He's single, can't get a woman to look at him." It's only natural he's got needs. The sycophant's words hit the mark, and Leo's smirk turned even more malicious. He still held a grudge over my engagement to Candy all those years ago. Old Mr. Morgan had sent people to warn him to stay away from his granddaughter. Leo blamed me for all the humiliation he'd suffered back then. Sonny, Candy's mine now, he sneered. Jealous. Do your fans know what a piece of trash you are behind the scenes? At my words, Leo's eye twitched and his face went pale for a second. He gritted his teeth. Gotten bold, have we? Are you threatening me? I patted his shoulder and gestured to a security camera down the hall. You'd better hope you have nothing to be threatened with. Leo reluctantly unclenched his fists. I brushed past him with a cold smile, bumping his shoulder hard. Leo winced in pain and shot me a look of pure hatred. Before the main event began, I went to the restroom to wash my hands. A little while later, a commotion broke out in the main hall. Everyone was looking down, searching for something. Leo, someone asked, do you remember who came out of the men's room after you? The room fell silent, waiting for his answer. Leo put on a show of trying to remember. Let me think. The only other person there was Mr. Hayes. Then he added, as if an afterthought, but come on, the guy steals a piece of cake at most. He wouldn't just take something as valuable as a watch. You never know, someone muttered. Candy was the first to challenge that idea. The crowd's scorching gaze turned back to me. The story was that Leo had just gone to the restroom, and now his watch was missing. And somehow, I was the prime suspect. If someone's willing to steal once, what makes you think they won't do it again? Candy said, her brow furrowed in disgust. Her words were dripping with sarcasm. She's got a point. A guy who can't afford cake would jump at the chance to snatch a watch. One of Leo's cronies chimed in, sneering at me. Mr. Hayes, people only show you respect because of your grandfather, he continued. If you really took it, just hand it over now. Don't embarrass the Hayes family name. A portly, middle-aged man, one of the Morgan family's business partners, if I remember correctly, stepped forward to play the role of mediator. It was obvious he was just trying to stick up for Candy. A few people nodded in agreement. That's right. Making a scene won't do anyone any good, one said. If you're in some kind of trouble, just say so. We're all old friends here. We'd help you out. How much can one watch be worth? A man has to have his dignity. I scanned the room with a cold expression, my eyes finally landing on Leo. Where's your proof? Proof? You still have a chance to confess, he said, his voice full of challenge. Once we have proof, it'll be too late for regrets. We stood in a standoff for a moment. Then, Leo's assistant rushed over. He had gone to security and recorded the surveillance footage on his phone. The footage showed Leo entering the restroom first, the watch clearly on his wrist. I went in right after him and came out less than a minute later. When Leo emerged, his wrist was bare. The phone was passed from person to person. Convinced they had found their culprit, they began their public trial. He must have swiped it while Leo was washing his hands, someone declared. In and out of the bathroom that fast? He was obviously up to something. He's completely tarnished the Hayes family name. Candy coldly distanced herself from me. Sonny, you brought this on yourself. Satisfied now, Mr. Hayes? Leo said, holding out his hand, demanding I return the watch. You don't actually think I'd want something of yours, do you? I asked, raising an eyebrow and casually crossing my arms. From the looks of it, that watch isn't even worth $500,000. Is that supposed to be expensive? Leo's expression visibly tightened. He couldn't believe I was still so composed. Sounds like you've got quite the watch collection, Mr. Hayes. How come we never see you wear one? I just don't feel the need to show off, I said breezily. Leo's lip twitched. Candy looked even more furious. Are you done making excuses? She snapped. I always knew you were a shameless lowlife. Thank God I didn't marry you. Just being associated with you is disgusting. Candy escalated the situation further. The people around us started whispering again. He's just jealous that Ms. Morgan is doing so well. No wonder he's trying to get back at her new boyfriend. What a terrible person. But if I can't have you, no one can type. We should stay away from him. Candy glared at me. Sonny, stop using these pathetic tricks to get my attention. I don't love you anymore, so you could just give up. I had to laugh. Candy, have you been hanging around Leo so long that his delusions of grandeur are rubbing off on you? Both of their faces turned ugly. Candy had reached her limit. Enough talk. Give back what you stole and apologize to Leo in front of everyone. I'm telling you, seriously, I didn't steal anything, I said calmly. I don't mind if you call the police. They can search me when they get here. I glanced at Leo. We wouldn't want a real thief to be too scared to speak up, would we? I stared pointedly at Leo. He awkwardly looked away. Fine, I'll call the precinct, a bystander said, eager for more drama, pulling out his phone. But Leo stopped him. Forget it, Leo said quickly. Just consider it a gift to Mr. Hayes. Let's not hold up the evening. I immediately shot that down. Oh no, that won't work. Since it's so precious to you, we should tear this place apart until we find it. The police will certainly be on your side. You're not scared, are you? Who said I'm scared? Leo stammered, his bravado clearly fading. What's going on here? Scarlett Rhodes's cool, clear voice cut through the tension, snapping everyone to attention. The crowd parted instinctively to let her through. She gave me a quick glance from across the room before gliding to my side. Under the crystal chandeliers, her custom-made, backless silver gown shimmered, perfectly outlining her stunning figure. She was so beautiful she looked like a goddess. If Candy's beauty was the mature, refined kind that comes with age, Scarlett's was a natural, captivating force. Her every subtle expression could make a person's heart stop. Next to her, Candy's elegance seemed almost ordinary. Everyone in the room held their breath. Even though I'd seen her beauty 1,000 times, my heart still skipped a beat. Someone, eager to be helpful, leaned in and whispered the whole story in her ear. Scarlett gave me a look that said, I trust you. Candy saw the exchange, and a flicker of unease crossed her face. Scarlett turned to Leo. Leo, are you certain about this? Faced with her direct question, Leo suddenly looked uncomfortable. He rubbed his nose. Well, I'm not saying it was definitely him. Oh, Scarlett replied. So, you're not 100% sure. Scarlett's tone was subtle, but anyone paying attention could hear the displeasure in it. Ms. Rhodes, it's really just a small thing. You don't need to worry about it. It's over, Leo said, trying to de-escalate. Leo forced an awkward smile. He was the one who started this, and now he was the one desperate to end it. He might have a few million followers on Instagram, but compared to Scarlett's 100 million-plus global fanbase and her massive business empire, it was obvious who held the power. Scarlett shut him down. No, we need to get to the bottom of this, she said firmly. It's a matter of your property and Mr. Hayes' reputation. She hesitated for a fraction of a second before regaining her composure. I'm hosting this event tonight, and I owe it to my guests to see this through, she declared. We won't accuse an innocent man, and we won't let a guilty one get away with it. Her every word was firm and clear. Scarlett turned to me, her voice softening. Mr. Hayes, how do you think we should proceed? Everyone in that room was sharp enough to read between the lines. They could all sense that the connection between Scarlett and me was something special. Looks of shock and speculation spread across their faces. Candy just stared at me, her eyes slowly welling up with a look of hurt. She looked as if I had personally betrayed her. It's simple, I said. Let's call the police. All right, Scarlett agreed, immediately calling over her assistant and giving a few quiet instructions. In less than 20 minutes, the police were there. They didn't just bring a metal detector. They brought a forensics team, including fingerprint and footprint specialists. The first place they checked was the men's restroom. Leo's face was ghost white, and he was visibly shaking. One of his friends went up to him. Leo, are you okay? You don't look so good. Leave me alone, he practically yelled, shoving the guy's hand away. His reaction was so strange that it didn't go unnoticed. A few people subtly shifted to stand a little closer to me. Even Candy took a step away from him. Then a beep. The metal detector went off, and they found Leo's missing watch inside the toilet tank. After a quick check, they confirmed my fingerprints weren't on it. He must have wiped them off. Leo stammered. Next, they checked the stall for footprints. Besides Leo's and the officers, there were no others. My footprints weren't there either. He must have wiped those too, Leo started to say, but I cut him off. If I could steal your watch, pry open a toilet tank to hide it, and then perfectly erase every fingerprint and footprint, all in under 60 seconds, I'd be a criminal mastermind. It didn't take a genius to figure out who had staged the whole thing. The truth dawned on everyone. From the very beginning, Leo had been setting me up. Mr. Vance, please come with us, one of the officers said with a polite but firm gesture. Filing a false report and framing someone comes with consequences. As they led him away, Scarlett looked at him. Leo, character comes before craft. It sounded less like advice and more like a warning. Leo hung his head, unable to look anyone in the eye. With the drama over, Scarlett secretly gave me a thumbs up and mouthed the words, "Handled." Just then, Candy, looking dazed, accidentally bumped into someone. "Sorry," she mumbled weakly. "Ms. Morgan, that boy is too young, too reckless," the same middle-aged man from before said, forcing a smile. Seeing Candy was in no mood to talk, he tactfully excused himself. He joined the crowd that was now swarming around Scarlett, showering her with praise. Quite a few people started trying to cozy up to me as well. It was obvious Scarlett was on my side, and getting on my good side couldn't hurt. It seemed they had all forgotten how they were ready to convict me just a few minutes earlier. After the small talk died down, Scarlett made her way to the small stage at the front of the room. The click-clack of her heels silenced the crowd. She took the microphone, a warm, enchanting smile on her face. "Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to be here tonight," she began. "Many of you are dear friends and valued partners. And tonight, I want to announce the most important decision of my life and invite you all to be a part of it." Scarlett slowly raised her left hand. A brilliant diamond ring sparkled on her ring finger. "I'm married," she announced. "My husband is Sonny Hayes." For a moment, it felt like time stood still. The crowd was stunned into silence, their faces a mixture of shock and disbelief. "Did I hear her right? Sonny Hayes. They're actually together? Since when?" someone whispered. "The tabloids are going to have a field day with this." Scarlett gathered the hem of her gown and hurried down the steps. She moved through the crowd, took my hand, and led me up to the microphone. "Sonny Hayes, will you marry me?" she asked, pulling out a ring box with a playful grin. "This is so cheesy," I said with a helpless but fond smile. I had already proposed to her, and we had already signed the marriage license. But she insisted on having her own romantic proposal for me. She wanted to save the big surprise for the very end, leaving all the guests completely baffled. "I like cheesy. Now, hurry up and answer. Will you marry me?" "This is a limited-time offer," Scarlett teased. I turned to face her, and in front of everyone, I said with all the sincerity I had, "I will marry Scarlett Rhodes, and I will love her, and only her, forever." The room erupted in thunderous applause and cheers. Everyone was celebrating, except for Candy. Her face was a mask of panic. Her wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered on the floor, rolling a few times. Red wine splashed all over her dress, but she didn't even seem to notice. Her eyes filled with tears as she stared at me, unblinking. I felt nothing. "Hey, look at me," Scarlett whispered, turning my face toward hers. "No looking at anyone else." Scarlett put the ring on my finger. "Okay," I promised. "Only you." I smiled and pulled her into my arms as camera flashes went off all around us. Then I gave her a deep, heartfelt kiss. 5 minutes later, Twitter exploded. The trending topic was, A-list actress Scarlett Rhodes announces marriage. The post included a huge group photo filled with familiar faces from Hollywood. Scarlett and I were right in the center, kissing under a shower of flower petals. The comment section was going wild. "This is straight out of a rom-com," one user wrote. "I'm so happy for them, I could cry." Another commented, "My tears of jealousy are streaming down my face." But Scarlett's fans weren't surprised. She had mentioned in an interview that she was thinking about getting married in the near future. She had given her fans a heads up. It didn't take long for internet sleuths to dig up my background. Sonny Hayes, though the business world knew me better by my professional name, Bowen. I was the head of a large multinational corporation. It turned out I was the silent investor behind most of Scarlett's biggest films. They also uncovered the story of the year. She had that terrible stunt wire accident. The doctors had said she might lose feeling in her left leg. I hired the best specialists in the world, cleared my schedule, and stayed by her side through every step of her rehabilitation. She ultimately defied all expectations, making a triumphant comeback. The first film she made after her return won her another Oscar. The internet was full of praise for me, and her fans couldn't have been happier. That night, I held Scarlett in my arms as she scrolled through the comments on her phone, a contented smile on her face. She mentioned that Candy had left the party before the group photo was taken. I didn't really care. It was Scarlett who brought it up, saying she'd left in a hurry, without even changing out of her stained dress. "You invited her on purpose, didn't you?" I teased. I had hit on her little secret. Scarlett just pouted, not denying it. She was always so cute when she was jealous. "That suit you were wearing is getting a little old," she commented. She zoomed in on me in the group photo, suggesting we buy me a new one. "No, I like this one," I said. It was the first gift you ever gave me. The next day at the office, my colleagues congratulated me. Before moving back to the States, I had acquired a new company and was now overseeing a major project. The vice president of the board stopped by my office. Bowen, there's a visitor who's been insisting on seeing you. Does she have an appointment? I asked. No. The interesting thing is, he added, she claims she's your wife. I found Candy waiting, her eyes red and her face etched with exhaustion and sorrow. She looked like she'd been crying all night. Did you really marry her? She asked. Or is it just like it was with us? A business arrangement? You don't really love her, do you? I love her very much, I stated plainly. I cut her off, wanted to make my feelings for Scarlett perfectly clear. We're legally married, and she is the only one I will ever love. Candy just shook her head, lost in her own world. I don't believe you. You're lying. When the elevator fell, she whispered, you shielded me with your own body. You love me. I almost had to laugh. After dying once, I had learned to let go. Why waste my life devoted to someone who didn't love me back? It was better to set us both free. We could each find our own happiness and cherish this second chance at life. That was a lifetime ago, Candy, I said. You were the one who called it off. What's the point of bringing this up now? If there's nothing else, you should probably go. My wife is on her way over. I glanced at my watch. I had intentionally met Candy in the hallway for this reason. Employees kept passing by and greeting me. The moment I said the word wife, Candy grabbed my hand as a reflex, her eyes brimming with tears. Sonny, did I say you could marry someone else? She pleaded. I calmly pulled my hand away and took a step back. I don't need your permission. And for what it's worth, I hope you and Leo are very happy together. You're not like him. Candy choked out, covering her face as she began to sob. I don't want to leave him, but I can't bear to lose you either. It was the classic, have your cake and eat it too line. Honestly, I didn't understand her at all anymore. Candy continued, seeing you struggling, it actually made me sad. I didn't mean all those hurtful things I said, but you never asked about my life, you never cared. And seeing you kiss someone else, I just can't stand it, she confessed. Sonny, can we please get back together? I turned my head and stared out the floor-to-ceiling window. I delivered the final verdict as calmly as I could. There's no chance for us anymore. You're lying, she cried, completely lost in her memories of the past. The vows you made to Scarlett, you made them to me once too. You can't just break your promise. We were married. We never even got divorced. You have a responsibility to me. I already fulfilled my responsibility to you, I said quietly. I gave my life for you. Wasn't that enough? Candy fell silent. A flicker of pure terror crossed her face, as if she was reliving a nightmare. If I hadn't been worried about her, I never would have gone to that bar to pick her up. I never would have gotten on that broken elevator. The searing pain of that fall still haunts my nightmares. I let my family down, but I never let Candy down. Yet here she was, still refusing to see the truth. Divorce Scarlett, she demanded. I'll make it up to you, I promise. We can have a baby. Would you want a boy or a girl? I shattered her delusion with 2 sharp words. Wake up. Even if Scarlett wasn't in the picture, I would never, ever get back together with you. With that, I started to walk past her. Candy instinctively opened her arms, as if expecting an impossible hug. In the next second, Scarlett threw herself into my arms. Honey, I missed you, she chirped. Her familiar scent instantly lifted my spirits. I missed you too, sweetheart, I said, kissing her on the forehead. Candy froze, awkwardly dropping her arms to her sides. She turned her back to us and walked away. Her pace quickened until she was practically running, disappearing down the hall. If I'd been a minute later, someone might have tried to steal my husband, Scarlett said, frowning in mock anger. I'm all yours. No one's stealing me, I promised, ruffling her hair. I knew she had been waiting patiently just around the corner. I'd seen the employees who greeted me walk a little further down the hall, then glance curiously toward a blind corner before looking back at me with puzzled expressions. She trusted me to handle it, and she didn't care that I had a past. Okay, enough about her, she said, changing the subject. I'm free all morning. Take me to your company cafeteria. Scarlett linked her arm in mine, and we walked off laughing. Sonny, please don't die. Scarlett murmured in her sleep, her expression pained. I gently rubbed her back to soothe her. Don't be scared. I'm right here. I'm alive and well. Scarlett slowly blinked her eyes open. Her eyes were red-rimmed, and a few tears escaped down her cheeks. Thank God. It was just a dream, she whispered, taking the glass of water I offered her, still shaken. What was it about? I asked gently, a strange intuition creeping over me. I dreamed that the elevator failed, she said, her voice trembling. You and Candy, you both died. Your family didn't invite me, but I went to your funeral anyway, she continued. And every year after that, I brought flowers to your grave. I regretted so much that I never told you sooner. I've liked you for much longer than you could ever imagine. Scarlett tugged on my sleeve and began to tell me a story. The year she got her big break, she was only 18. She was at an industry dinner, and a group of powerful executives were pressuring her to drink. She was a lightweight and felt sick after just a few glasses. She thought that because she'd become famous so quickly, she could avoid the ugly side of the industry. She was too naive. Her own agent told her to just play along, that keeping these men happy would open up more opportunities for her. The person she trusted most was essentially selling her off like a prized possession. She was so scared she cried out. Her glass fell and shattered, splashing wine on one of the executive's pants. He demanded she get on her knees and apologize. Just as she was about to give up all hope, a teenage boy in a prep school uniform burst into the room. He couldn't have been more than 16 or 17. He stepped in and put a stop to it. What's so fun about bullying a girl? He demanded. A man your age should be ashamed of himself. The executive flew into a rage and flipped the table. Who the hell is this little punk? He roared. The boy was unfazed, his tone dripping with contempt. I'm Sonny Hayes of the Hayes Corporation. Are you sure you want to continue this conversation? At the mention of that name, the room went dead silent. The Hayes family were titans of industry. Compared to a Hayes, this executive was nobody. And if Sonny was here, his family was likely in the next room. The man sank back into his chair, defeated. The boy turned to her. You're an actress, right? Here's my card. Go sign with my family's agency. No one there will give you any trouble, he said, glaring at her agent. He was just a kid still in school, but he had his own impressive business cards. She clutched the warm card in her hand. What are you all still sitting around for? Get out, he told the other men. They scrambled to grab their jackets and couldn't get out of there fast enough. Scarlett said she was worried about breaking her contract, so she never ended up signing with his agency. But thankfully, she never had to deal with anything like that again. Her agent treated her with the utmost respect from then on. When her contract was up, she heard that I had moved abroad. She decided to spend some time working overseas as well, and that's when she founded her own production company. Just as she'd hoped, she ran into me again at an art gallery. I had clearly forgotten all about that night. She worked up the courage to ask for my number. And after her persistent pursuit, we finally started dating. And that's how it all started. I never forgot you, Sonny Hayes, Scarlett finished, pinching my cheek. I'm sorry, I don't remember it, I admitted. My family used to drag me to those kinds of events all the time. I hated the atmosphere, so I'd always find an excuse to slip out and wander the halls. I was probably eavesdropping on the private rooms. Whenever I heard something unjust, I couldn't help but play the hero. My grandfather never knew I was throwing his name around like that. I got into a lot of trouble that way. It's a miracle I made it to adulthood. It's okay, Scarlett said with a gentle smile. I remember enough for both of us. The strong should protect the weak. That's something I learned from you, she said. She told me that her passion for charity work over the years was largely because of the example I set that night. I couldn't help but feel a little proud. Real love makes you a better person. No matter what challenges I faced, I knew she would always have my back. She cried with me and laughed with me. She always saw things from my perspective and gave me unconditional acceptance. We've never had a single fight. Scarlett looked me straight in the eye. I don't want to lose you a second time, she said. We held each other tightly. I wasn't going to let her go again, either. Leo Vance's career imploded. He was exposed for cheating with multiple fans simultaneously. The internet went into a frenzy, and the comments on every platform were brutal. One of the fans was the same woman he'd been linked to in our past life. I had to admit, karma really does come back around. Some things had changed, but some things stayed exactly the same. One night, I was jolted awake by my phone ringing. I groggily answered it without even checking the caller ID. Candy's tearful voice came through the speaker. Sonny, I'm sick, she cried. I feel awful. Can you come over? I was instantly wide awake. I quickly turned to soothe Scarlett, who had also been woken up by the call. She let out an annoyed little huff. Ms. Morgan, I'm sure there are plenty of people who would be happy to check on you. You don't need me, I said, about to hang up. Sonny, she yelled. Candy screamed my name, her voice hoarse from crying. I regret it. I really, really regret it. I never should have called off the wedding. I see it clearly now. You're my true love. At this point, there was nothing more to say. I explained patiently, you don't regret losing me, Candy. You regret wanting everything and ending up with nothing. No, that's not it, she sobbed. Why? I was there first. How did I still lose? She sounded completely broken. Love isn't about who was there first, I told her. The person who isn't loved is always the one who loses. I said the words for her, but also for the man I used to be. Candy was just deluding herself. You do love me, she insisted. You wouldn't have answered the phone if you didn't. Just then, Scarlett's sleepy voice murmured from beside me. Honey, I'm so tired. Let's go back to sleep. Scarlett snuggled closer to me, deliberately drawing out her words. Her voice was just loud enough for the person on the other end of the line to hear perfectly. Candy went silent. A full 10 seconds passed. Then, with a click, she hung up. I put my phone down and settled back into bed. The woman I loved was sleeping right beside me. I couldn't ask for anything more.